Okay, thank you for coming to my talk, which is made thanks to Renater, which is my employer and sponsor. This is a French National Research and Education Network. So basically, we provide connectivity, infrastructure, and a lot of services to university research labs in other governmental organizations in France. We are involved in open source development projects. So the one in Perl is Sympa, but we are involved in the development of Moment, Bersip, Jitsi, which is Sympa is the Perl one. We are recruiting, so if you are a public servant, French public servant, or if you want to work on Paris, Rennes, Grenoble, don't hesitate to check the site, our website, or contact me. At Renater, I worked on the Sympa project, which is a large organization scale mailing list manager. David Verdun, which is my colleague, presented it at YAPC a long time ago. Large scale, not only because it's under a very huge list, but also because you can highly customize and delegate a lot of things and automate things, give access to administration stuff to basic users and configuration via a web interface. We are a very large community and very welcoming, but honestly, we need Perl contributors to the core, and that's why I try to promote Perl at large. But I was a Perl fan before, long before joining Renater. This talk is about Perl 5, because honestly, Perl 6 is, I think, the best dynamic language ever, with the worst name ever. But basically, it's the future of Perl. You can contact me by email. You can contact me. I really enjoy to speak to anyone. So don't hesitate to talk with me during the conference. So what I did, because I'm back to Perl, what I did during all those 6 years was basically handling the evolution and production of large application for collaborative tools at the University of Strasbourg. And I became Floss Evangelist at Renater last year because of my work on the Sympa project. Yeah, everything, when you are on those kind of job, everything is on your own. So technical support, training, documenting feedbacks. And finally, I learned a new job. I learned to care about users and communities. I learned to understand I learned to listen and understand the decision process is a time spent wisely, because when you get the cultural background behind a decision, you can provide a good solution. The best solution isn't the one you think that is the technical perfect one. It's the one that pleases the users. And when you understand the way people choose something, you can help to choose, and you can explain eventually a better solution. And it's the same for the programming language. And I learned a lot by talking with my colleagues. And I discovered that Perl is not a good language for everyone, and I have to deal with it. So I also became the old man with some white hair, anecdote about the very old internet, and grumbled about new technology, Docker, and so on. And because finally all the people I talked with, all the developers were less than 30, and there were not developers when Perl died. If Perl died, but they don't even know Perl. They don't hate Perl. They don't care about Perl. they don't know Perl, and they fear Perl because of all the scary tales about developers lost in the lands of sigil and gone insane. It involved black magic, demons, zombies, deadlocks. And actually, this was because of an age of heresy. In 2000, PC and internet became a huge market, and they don't know the story. We are old enough to remember that, but qualified IT professional was really hard to find. So standard newcomer, even in programming teams, were Windows user using web browsers, and then some web developers don't even know HTTP. They just wrote PHP code, and you had this huge amount of trainings. In 6 months, you become an IT expert. So the thing is, people lacked the Unix culture, and this is a point for me to explain why Perl the Perl popularity collapsed at some point, because it was an ecosystem and it was a culture, and we learn computing computers with that. And to me, it was a very good learning playground. We learn about streams, we learn about regular expression, we learn about implicity, with a lot of tools that can be put together, and we learn about variadic function, grammar, partial application, using shell, using sed, using awk, yak, sed. And once you get all those stuff, Perl was the magic wand, right? It was easy to combine everything you learned to one piece of code, which is the Perl language. But at the time, things were different in schools. Do you remember this motto? Yeah, I don't even remember if it's run everywhere or run away, but okay, this is a Java school, and young people don't imagine all the promise they did. Java cards, remember Java cards? No? It was the idea to have you can plug new processor that directly runs the Java bytecode, so you can take a computer and plug the Java card and it will run way faster. I heard about it during many years. I never seen one, but there was Java applets and everything was about Java. And Perl died in a dark age where the beloved technology was XML, PHP, Java, Windows. Open source was a cancer, you remember that? And Unix was for geeks. Functional programming was for nuts. And okay, Perl was probably unreadable. If you read Perl code, 20 years Perl code, it's hard to read, but honestly, if you want to, someone read some JavaScript code or Python code, 20 years old, or no? You probably don't want. Okay, that's one is an example of the unreadable Perl. For us, the one above is something we want to write. It's easy, it's short, and but basically, you don't even imagine for a newcomer coming from Java, for example, the number of concepts you have to learn, and to understand that, because it's about anonymous block, it's about composition, and you don't have this in the languages you learned at school. So a lot of people finally prefer the one above. That I don't like it, and probably most of Perl developers don't like it. And on the other end, if you see a Python signature and you have this weird Perl prototype with having to unroll the argument by yourself, which is a variadic function, it's not difficult to understand. It's not difficult to explain, but it's weird and uncomfortable, and the people said, okay, why should I use a weird and uncomfortable language? So we want to use it, obviously us, and we have functional parameters. Everyone knows functional parameters. Basically, if you know per 6 signatures, functional parameters is a pluggable keyword. So it's runnable for per 5 to 12, and you can have per 5 signature in per 6 signature and per 5. But to know that, you have to know that you can find this kind of stuff on Sympa, which is not easy for a beginner. Also, we can ask ourselves why use function parameter instead of the feature signatures. But okay, that's a problem. We have some stuff, but not in the core. But nowadays, back to the future, Unix finally became the system of choice for a lot of developers. So they don't fear a lot of things that are weird in 20 years ago. And functional programming became the good part. Remember, for example, the JavaScript book, the good part, they emphasize the functional part. So in JavaScript realm, you were a good JavaScript programmer when you write this kind of code in 20 years ago, and now the new thing, the way of thinking is writing the functional way. So this is this is valid in JavaScript, and this is based of the arrow notation, which is very nice. Everyone can read that, right? Okay. Also, Matt Trout gave a talk about all those new features in JavaScript that finally take JavaScript to an acceptable per 5. You have the use strict, you have let, which is basically a mine. You have this arrow notation, which is anonymous, basically an anonymous function with a cool syntax. They have the observables, which is basically a per type. So all those concepts are now understood by JavaScript people. Also, spread operator. How many of you write JavaScript on daily basis? Okay, no, 2 per. Okay, so maybe I can describe. But basically, what you say, what you have that is here is hashes. Okay, and the very new cool stuff in JavaScript is you can take some hashes and put them together with a spread operator with dot dot dot. Okay, which is basically in Perl the default behavior. We have flatten, right? And they feared about that, and now they love that. Okay, this is flatten. This is a Perl version. No big deal for us. Also, in the draft of the next versions of JavaScript, we have this the pipe operator. We can find the pipe operator in many new languages. Basically, JavaScript wrappers. For example, if you use LiveScript or CoffeeScript or those kind of stuff, you have those kind of. Okay, the idea of pipe operator is no one wants to write this kind of stuff, but sometime you have to, and it's very hard not only to read, to write, but also to read, mostly to read. So they create this new operator that you can pipeline something. It's the very same code. Well, in Perl we don't need parentheses, so we don't need pipelines. Perl parentheses, you can put them everywhere. You can say you see x. This is a way to shortcut the parentheses. You can do everything with the parentheses and use it whenever you want. How Python evolved. Python is known as really readable language, which is done to learn programming and also with one way to do it, right? One obvious way to do it. If you see the new version of Python, there is obviously three way to print things, but probably there isn't more. Okay, there is a lot of improvement in the Python language, and I picked some of them I really like. List comprehension, which is basically map and grep. Additional unpacking generalization, which is if you wrote some Python code, you can be frustrated by the fact that you can flatten things, but only in the signatures, which is not the case anymore. You can use the magic operator, star and star star. You can use it everywhere, and you can flatten everything. So for a Perl person, it's nothing new because we have this flatten, and basically we have this behave on Python like a and that's it. We can flatten in Python with the star, and we can reference in Perl with a slash. Okay, so the literal string interpolation, the F string, so you can finally interpolate things directly in the string in Python. There are finally assignment expression, which is you can assign something into an expression, which is the default behavior in Perl. And yes, if you put them together with all other things, you can have some new Pythonic code way to write code. And for example, Michael Kennedy is a Python teacher giving very good talk about Python. He made a talk, Pythonic code by example. And honestly, Pythonic code nowadays looks like Perl without steroids, at least for me. You can use the same concept with another syntax, which is, without sigils, without underscore. So some people don't like steroid, and you have to deal with it. It doesn't matter, but some people love them, and those people should come to the Perl community, to the Perl programming. A message for the Python 2 developers: please don't use Python 2 anymore, because honestly, Python 3 is much more. It's a much more decent language. Everything moved in the same set of tooling. If you see Java, C++, they all have those lambdas. They all have those functional parts. The Elm, Moon script, Live script, Haskell, Scala, Clojure, all those new languages are very close to the same mindset. Scheme is back in town. People use Clojure, Racket. Guile is really became really awesome some last years, and I'm really grateful for all those to all these implementers, because they finally made my life better, removing all those useless parentheses and flattened structure and everything. So expectation became closer and closer to the Perl mindshare. Expectations are easier to understand, so some people want to write some C-alike even with dynamic language, and you can do anything for them, but it's easier to explain Perl too. Finally, the fear of implicity, the fear of anonymous block, variadic, flatten, interpolation, they are all gone. And a new person can write a language and write code without the fear of them. They are gone. So the fear of Perl is gone too. But come on, I can't wait for your language to implement yet another feature Perl already has. So the missing things, for example, one example of missing things, the Yada operator is very a simple thing, but it's so useful. Everyone knows the Yada operator? Yeah? Okay. Undefined defined OR is really something that I miss in other languages. Implicity, some languages don't need the context variable, because they use partial application, and which is fine. But also argv is something I missed, and an operator to iterate. Sigils are something that are also I miss, because you can query a data structure with using the good sigil, or you have this kind of syntax where you can put any function put any function as a method for an object, which is very great when you want to add metaprogramming. So yes, also I miss MetaCpan, the CPAN tooling at large, the community. So we still have some great things, but so what's the problem? We evolved very fast since 5.10 without breaking retrocompatibility, which is good for all people, not good for the new one. I explain. We have SmartSmat, given when, which is basically removed. Experimental signatures that you have to understand how the Pragma experimental works. You have to understand that the features are hidden in the documentation. There are a lot of regex improvements. Perl is now faster, more secure, better error message, pluggable keywords, which is a very nice feature. But honestly, if you see the Perl documentation, you don't see that all those evolutions, they are hidden in the line of code, and you should be very careful to spot them. So most people think that Perl 5 remains the same, with no signature, no object keywording, and most people don't go shopping on PyPy or even NPM to improve their language. They won't go shopping on CPAN, and they will miss the bigger Perl improvement, because Perl became I don't know, I don't remember who say that, and I made my time to understand that, but it's really what I think now. Perl is a VM, Sympa is a language. We have those basic language, which is Perl, and we have a lot of things on the Sympa. So people want this great feature about they want signature, code, Unicode support, and so on, which we have. With we have it with this little boilerplate. Honestly, people, 12 lines of code with nothing down. I thought that we can write a kernel Unix with 20 lines of Perl. So basically, we missed something. Also, those 12 lines are impossible for a newbie to guess without knowing Perl, without the history, without how we evolved. It needs a lot of culture, Perl culture to spot. Also, those lines made you Stack Overflow unusable because the examples you use in your documentation is not the example you will use on the Sympa, for example, or on help Stack Overflow and help communities. And those lines scare the newbie. If you want to explain every one of these, you don't code, you explain the past of Perl, the future of Perl, and why is it this way and not another way. Okay, and it scares the newbie, but it makes Perl enjoyable. So some people try to fix Perl, and I don't know if many of you know, but for example, Perl 5e, which is a lot of modules and pragma to make Perl enjoyable with one use. You use Perl 5e, Common Sense, Modern Perl, all of them are a bunch of modules picked on Sympa and put together. Finally, in the Sympa project, we made our own. So this is a sympathetic project. And what's this is I don't have the time to explain how what sympathetic is. I have a lot of examples. I gave a talk for them on it, so I can show slides if you want to. Just go to me. But basically, a counter class is finally this short. So we have use sympathetic with load a lot of things. We use a type standard, which is the way to have to define a new types, new checker validator for a type. We have this keyword has, which came from the Mu, and we have the method system, the method keyword, which is a pluggable keyword by function parameter. Also, you can see that we can use attributes like attributes. If you are a Ruby person, you are used to that. If you try to convert this in Perl, you have two solutions. You use the hash, which is not recommended because it's fragile. If you make a typo, well, your code is broken. Or you have this mu when you have to use the accessor to get the value and use the getter to get the value, and you use the setter to set the value. And it's hard to write, it's hard to read, and it's uncomfortable. So we use MoX L value. And okay, now this is something I can show to promote Perl. This is, I don't have to explain where everything comes from. I just say, okay, you have has keyword to define an object, you have method to create a method, you have a signature the way you have in Python, but even more because we have name parameters and so on. We have type, you can define your type, you can reuse type, you can push new types on Sympa. It's very powerful, but it can be confusing for a newbie. So finally, Sympathetic is the standard Perl module for Perl way of thinking for the Sympa project. We expect it to be easier to learn, to read, and to write. It reduces the infrastructure code, no more blast, no more everything with useless bug. It's available on Sympa, and we expect it to be the entry point, the documentation of it to be the entry point to Perl and our guideline for the project, right? We don't want to replace the official Perl documentation, but for our project, you have to the document reference documentation is that. When I talked about Perl now, Perl 6 is my recommended way to start Perl if you don't have to maintain Perl 5 code. Sympathetic is my recommended way to start Perl 5. And as I said, it's easier to understand. Sympathetic is on its way since the last year, and I have good feedbacks on it. So about Perl, I really wonder if we should have a standard boilerplate, an official Perl 5 boilerplate. I mean, not standard, not official, or recommended, I don't know, but something that should be a superset of Perl that we can use on Stack Overflow, on documentation and everything. I just wonder. I don't even know if it's possible. We need to promote Perl. The best thing my idea about that about all these years is finally the best way to promote Perl is run and join a local technical meetups. Set up on your own if it doesn't exist, and code instead talk. Don't talk that much. Code instead, helping people to write Perl code. Having a social part is very important. Mingling people. Mid community, we want to get things done. For example, in France, we have all these alternative ISP. They want to de-Googleize internet. I don't know if you know this motto, but in France it's now a huge thing, and they need infrastructure. They need code to maintain their infrastructure, to give people web interfaces to set up things and stuff like that, and they need stuff to get down to be down, and you can I can help. So good example, for example, is RMLL, which is French name for international event, but mostly in French, sadly. But we can talk about Perl during this conference because they don't care about the technologies. They care about things get down. For them is also a good place to meet people. And don't feed the troll. Don't talk about Perl. The best way to promote Perl is encourage everyone to use the best of their language, emphasize the new features, because the new feature is very close to the old Perl one. So learn the you can learn their language. All of them are subset of really. If you think about Python, Ruby, JavaScript, or Lua, all of them are subset of the Perl, and you can finally see new feature with, for example, scheme. I learned new thing with scheme or Haskell, for example. But honestly, it's easier to it's easy to learn most of the language when you know Perl. And finally, the best way to promote Perl is level up the expectation about a language. When they use the higher level of their language, they finally understand why Perl did some choices. So level up the expectation of a language is, I think, the best Perl promotion we can do. Yeah. Any thought about it? Sorry? The oh yeah, sure. Oh. Oops. This one. This is my boilerplate. Okay, use strict, use warning, no comments, I hope. Use feature. I don't use Perl, a version of Perl, because we need in the Sympa project, we need to support Perl 16. And the thing is, if you use 16, you have this given and given keyword, which is not something that is well, we don't want to use given because it's complicated. Use English, so people can use variables like the awk one and it makes things readable. UTF-8 all, which is basically when you open a file, it's UTF-8. You can use UTF-8 in your code. You can. This is an example, right? It's not. I don't expect you to use that. Function parameter, as I said, it's a way to have a Perl 6 signature with types, with named parameters, with default values. So move. Okay, I don't want to explain move because I think everyone knows. MoX L value attribute, which is this ability to which is the ability to use an attribute as this one. Oops, maybe a bad idea. Okay, the way to use an attribute as a normal value, and Pastini, which is basically a very easy way to handle files and stuff like that. Okay, Perlude is a module that you can very easily compose function the way you do. It basically works when you want to stream something. You have two solutions. You have this not two solutions, but you while next. Okay, while next, why my element next, blah blah blah. So if you want, if you come from the Haskell community, you have you miss functions like drop 5 elements, take 5 elements, take while, drop while, and yes, Perl is a module to do that. I think we can still add some stuff, but my idea is on the Sympa project you can have those one by default, and we can use it, and we can help you on it because we know the modules, and we picked up, we already discussed about the module we should use and the module we shouldn't use. Any comment on here? Yes, yeah. The question was, is it possible to have just one statement? Yes. All those things you can do. Yeah. All those things are replaced by this one use. This was a goal of Sympathetic. This was. Okay, fine. That's already was debated on the Sympa mailing list, and yes, but finally, when you use a library, okay, I was like you. I was against having Mu in the standard, and some hacker, which is one of the person involved in the Sympa project, said, okay, at some point we will use a module. Everyone use modules, and when you use modules, a lot of them already use Mu. So what's the point of when do we have a serious improvement not using Mu? And I have to admit, it's hard to find only one script in the Sympa project that don't use an object system at some point, because we use a lot of libraries. So finally, we decide that Mu should be is not that hard to have. Anyone?
Just comment on that, because we use the same similar thing at work in lots of projects as well.
Yeah. Yep.
We say this is a class, so then if it forwards the differences.
Yep.
And then you don't actually get it unless you say it's a class. If it's a test, then you get some other modules or something like that. So you just add stuff to the first use line and to import the kind of the chunks of things that you want. Because then you also avoid things like path tiny there will export the path subroutine in your namespace. So all of a sudden now you can't have an attribute called path. So in your object. So that's not very useful. You need to be quite careful, I think, if you have like a boilerplate thing there, like exactly what it exports.
Yep. Oh, 5 minutes. Okay. I just missed some point. Sorry. Also, I just remember. Yeah, you can add this minus one feature. So you can minus 00, you can minus UTF-8, you can minus, I don't remember all, so minus something. So you can use sympathetic minus 00 minus UTF-8 minus stuff like that. So, so sympathetic minus all should be just a Perl regular. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Any? Yeah. Louder. Package main? Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. I don't get it. If yeah. Yes. Oh no, no. You can't. You if you are you can write a script. Yeah. That's the. Oh. Oops, I will. These are examples. Oops. Yeah, this is your grep script. You know, package main is just a package like anything. So probably if you want to please ducks, you will use OO. No, without sympathetic without OO. Right, and this is a script. That was a question. Sorry, can you be louder? Yes. Yeah. On the first slide. No, it's package counter. This is an object because I wanted to show that we have has by default and don't have to know about move in the first place and to use the method keywords. But yeah, you can write a script just using use sympathetic directly in the name main package. Is that? Sorry? Import into? This is the actual code of sympathetic. So yes. So basically, you have this feature, Unicode, path, and OO. And what we do is import into everything in the current namespace. So this is a way to disable feature, and yeah, feature path and do pathini import into two, feature OO and import move import value, and so on. That's it. Yep. Okay. So So it's easy to do your one. Okay. Any other thought or question? No? Oh, sorry? It's okay. Thank you.